If it was all roses, everybody would do it.
Takes time. I mean, you could be working for somebody for 20 years, and for the first 10 years, you might be at the lowest level, and the next 10, you might be the boss. But, it took you 10 years of your life making minimum wage while if you're your own boss, you could be the next millionaire. Like, nobody knows.
George Llanos, welcome to Beyond the Lines, man. What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. Happy to have you on. Man, we're having a bunch of different backgrounds and everything like this coming on. A lot of diversity. Now, you chef it up a little bit, and you've been across the pond. You've been in New York. You've been in Dallas. But give me a little background right now. Give the audience a little background on what you've been up to and what you've done in your past.
So, guys, appreciate it for having me on the show, man. So basically, I graduated high school in 2015. And since I didn't end up playing, college football, I didn't work out. I was just like, all right, what am I going to do? I didn't really want to go to college. It wasn't my thing. So I was like, all right, let me think what I'm going to do. So I decided to do cooking school. I've always had a passion for cooking. My parents love to cook, my grandparents. So it's kind of like a household thing. And, I talked to my parents and I was like, I want to pursue cooking as a career. Like, all right, well, do some digging. Let's see where you end up. So I started looking around, and the first one was CIA in New York, but tuition there is probably like 100,000, bro. Maybe. Yeah, CIA, Culinary of America.
Where's that? That's up in New York City.
Yes, in New York. Okay. Yeah.
And that's just a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money, bro. So it would have been like maybe $500,000 to be up there for the whole course. So, I started looking around, and I told my mom, I was like, would you be okay with me like going overseas to cook? And she's like, look, if that's what you want to do, I'm 100% behind you. I'll talk to your dad and we'll see what happens. So they talked it out, and they were like, all right, well, if you want to do this, we support you 100%. So then I started looking up schools over in Europe, and I got recommended this school called Hofmann. It's in Barcelona, Spain, and it's one of the top culinary schools in Europe, and it's probably one of the best ones in Spain. And I told my mom, I was like, hey, I found a school. Could we, see if this is a possibility for me? She's like, all right. So she did some digging. She called the school, and they gave me an interview process. And I filled out an application. I took the test, and probably within 2-3 days, they emailed me back, and they're like, we'd love to have you come to our school.
What's this test like?
So it was pretty much.
What can you cook?
It was weird. I mean, I didn't expect it to be what it was, because they sent me like 50 math problems, which really? I mean, you need math to like basic.
Yeah, you got to know how you got to be able to weigh your chicken and stuff, right?
Yeah, you have to be able to your stuff, man. You have to convert from pounds to ounces.
Right. That's it.
And I took the test, and it was just a bunch of math questions, and then just what I did before, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy, I guess, to get in, if you want to say that.
Okay, I don't know about that, but so you got in, and then so you ended up going over there.
Yeah, I ended up going over there, and I was 18 years old. I didn't know anybody, bro. The only advantage that I had was I spoke Spanish, because I'm from Mexico. So at least it wasn't like me going to Japan and I don't know how to speak Japanese.
Right. Well, that's a big advantage you had, though.
Yeah. So I landed there in August, and I had like a month. I went a month early just to get used to the city and the traveling and all that. And then school started in September, and it all went from there, bro. I was over there for almost 4 years.
Yeah, you were there a minute.
I worked at a Michelin star restaurant over there with the school. So that's pretty much, a Michelin star is the best thing a restaurant get. You can get 3, just the max. So that one had 1, and I was working there for 3 years. And, I was traveling all over Europe. I got to experience a whole different culture, a whole different atmosphere, and bro, I fell in love with it. And after that, I graduated, And, I didn't want to come back to Texas. Texas it's nice. It's where I grew up, but, I want a bigger pond.
Yeah, definitely. I know about that.
Yeah. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to New York. And that's probably the spot where you want to go if you want to cook, if you're in the United States, either California, Miami, or New York.
Right.
Well, I went to New York, flew out there for 3 days. I bought a ticket, and then I had like around 8 interviews. Was there for 3 days, went to all the interviews, man. I got an offer on all the jobs, and then I flew back home, and I was like, all right, well, I got 8 job offers. Is this something I really want to do? And I thought it over for like a day or two, and then I called this chef up to where she offered me, and I was like, hey, I flew into New York looking for a job, but right now I'm still in Texas. She's like, all right, I'll give you 2 weeks to come out here if you still want to take the job. And I was like, all right, I'd love to take the job. So pretty much packed all my stuff. And
how'd you make that decision between the 8 though? Was it a money thing too, or like was it just a fitting? It wasn't the money thing.
I didn't choose the highest paying job, that was for sure. But just the atmosphere and the people in that one just really stuck out. It was the restaurant was called ABC Cocina, and
I've been there.
It's kind of a Latin.
It's expensive as hell though.
Expensive, man.
I went there. It's funny you told me that because you told me that a few weeks ago, and I went there. My whole family was in New York for Christmas. Like my cousin goes to NYU. My sister was going to school at the time. So and my uncle lives over there. So it just made sense. Everybody just came to New York. And it was Christmas Day, and we went there, and you weren't there yet, but we went there, and I just remember seeing the bill. But the food was good, man. But it was expensive.
New York restaurants, bro. If you go with the family, if it's a nice restaurant, you're gonna drop at least $800, bro. If not even more. But yeah, so I'll take that.
Was it like the Lower East Side or something? Where is it?
Yes, on 18th Street.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's pretty much everything. But yeah, man, the people there, all the people that I work with there, it was great. The atmosphere is great. They have music playing. The kitchen's really nice. So, it's not always usually about the money in a kitchen. Line cooks and chefs don't really make much. So when you're going to pick a job, you have to look at everything. So if you go to interview and let's say you're in the interview and you're not really kind of like clicking with the team, but they're paying you, they're offering you $20 an hour, let's put it that way. And then you go to another job interview, the team, bro, you're just clicking with them, you're having fun, you're joking, and you've only been there for a day, but they offer you 18. That's $2 an hour. That over a year, that's going to add up. But if you like the kitchen more, you like the cooks more, you like the chefs more, that's an easy decision, man. It's $2, but I'd rather be in a workplace environment where I'm having fun than just working with a bunch of robots,
Yeah, I think that's in any case, and especially in like any profession, really. I feel like if you like what you do, you're gonna do it better, and you're gonna be able to improve in it and grow in that in those ranks. Now, in that case that you said, like line cooks, chefs don't get paid like that, but what's the progression for someone that wants to kind of be in that, that wants to do that? Now, we're gonna get into what you're doing now in entrepreneurial thing and everything like that. But as far as staying within that line, within that profession, what's kind of the pathway there?
So everybody starts off from the bottom, bro. Sometimes you start off washing dishes, and then somebody might call out on the line, and a chef might go in the dish pit and say, hey, I need a line cook who wants to learn to cook some eggs, who wants to learn how to do the basic stuff.
Right.
Then you'll move in, and if you're good, the chef's going to be like, hey, would you mind being a line cook from now on instead of a dishwasher? And some people fall in love with it. So after that, from a line cook, you go to a sous chef. So you're pretty much...
You can apply to be a line cook straight up, right? Like
you can apply to be a line cook straight up. That's what I did when I moved to New York.
Okay.
I was a line cook straight up. And then from that, you could either get a lead line cook position, so you'll be in charge of the whole line.
Right.
You could just be a straight up sous chef. So sous chef is pretty much the next step above from a line cook. You'll be in charge of the service and all that stuff. After that, you have CDC, you have executive chef, you have a couple 3 other steps. But once you get to the top,
what's the top?
Executive chef.
Okay.
That's probably the most you can get. When you're executive chef, you're not really in the kitchen as much. You're more in the office, taking the orders down, looking at payrolls, making sure everything's right. You'll on a Friday night, maybe when it's busy, you'll come up and help. You'll recipes, but you won't be working as if you were a line cook, because obviously you're the boss, so you're just overseeing that everybody does their job, keeping everybody in line. But
So that's kind of like that's what you're aiming for, really, once you come in.
yeah. Once you come in, I mean, that's you see executive chef, bro. At
Right.
some restaurants, they're making maybe 100,000 a year, maybe a little bit more. And as a line cook in New York, you're making maybe 40 or 50. So it's a big.
Yeah, no doubt. It all translates over even within other career fields and stuff like that. But what's the case when let's say there's like multiple restaurants? I think ABC was only one, right? But like
Yeah.
something where there's like a chain of like three or something like that. If it's in New York, wherever it is, but let's say New York City, can you ascend from that executive chef position to like oversee everything, or how does that work?
Most definitely. I mean, ABC Cocina is it's a John George restaurant, and he literally has restaurants all over the world, bro. He has them in Asia, Mexico, everywhere. And I know you get to a point where you can accept like a corporate job. So they have like chefs that when they work in corporate, they pretty much travel around the world, bro, and they hop into each restaurant and they give them their input, or they just see if everything's working right, or they'll just go help another chef out to make some new recipes.
So this is corporate within that company, though.
Yeah, corporate within that company.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so you won't be managing just, let's say, the restaurants in New York. Let's say he wants you to oversee everything in the United States, so you'll be traveling all over. That's pretty cool gig.
I got you. Now, obviously, you were in Europe, you were in Spain a little bit, and then quite a bit of time, and then you came to New York, and obviously, like you said, New York, LA, Miami, those are the spots in the United States, and I'm sure every place varies a little bit. Like Miami's gonna be Latin centric, really. But what was the biggest difference from when you were in Europe compared to New York? Like, what was really going on there? Like, difference was.
I mean, in New York, I was working full time. I was out of school.
Yeah. But as far as like the art of cooking and like what kind of you learned, were there differences that when you came to New York, like you were like, that's not how I learned it or whatever?
The cooking world is pretty much black and white, bro. Every chef has a way of doing it. So every time you go into the kitchen, a chef might peel a tomato some type of way than what you learned from your teachers, let's say.
But it's a peeled tomato.
But it's a peeled tomato. It's like every chef has his own nicks and knacks, but everything else, bro, it's pretty much the same,
At one point, though, you have a little flavor. You learn your little flavor. Like, all right, I like my tomato with a little extra seasoning, a little extra pepper on it, whatever it may be. But this restaurant you go to, restaurants have a certain
like set recipe, pretty much.
Right. At what point? So, are you following that strict? So you're forgetting everything you ever learned, or do you have a little bit of freedom, or is that depend on really your position? Like, on a line cook, you wouldn't really mess with it that much, but like as you get higher, how does that work?
It depends just on your chef, bro. Sometimes you can hop in the kitchen, and if he says he wants 2, it's 2. It's not 2.5. It's not 1.9. It's 2, or else you'll get fired. I mean, there's a lot of cooks in the world. He'll just say, if you don't want to follow my recipes, my rules, the door's right there. I'll find somebody to get it. But if you get a cool chef, it might be his recipe, but you did the same recipe at another restaurant or other part of the world, and you're like, hey chef, we used to add this back in when I worked in Europe or whatever.
Right.
You're like, all right, you can put it in. Let me try it. And if he likes it, he likes it. He'd be like, all right, from now on, do it that way. But sometimes chefs aren't like that. They like their own way, and it's a restaurant, so it's understandable.
And they worked up to that point, so it's kind of like what they know. They got to experience just like you got experience, but they have a little bit more of it, right? So I think they're able to rely a little bit more on that. But so like I mentioned earlier, you're delving into a little bit different field, and you're still chefing it up and everything. But you went back to Dallas. What happened there? Like, so you left, went back to Texas. What was good there?
Okay, so I was in New York for pretty much a year.
Right.
And New York's really expensive, bro.
Expensive as hell,
I
bro.
was in Manhattan. I was paying 1,900 for a room. I
Yeah.
was roommates, and with a line cook salary, it's hard to get by.
Right.
So I was like, I had to think long term goals, and I was like, I'm gonna move back to Texas for a little bit and see what I'm gonna do. Just regroup. I had a couple
Yeah.
opportunities out here. I had a couple of friends that wanted to start a little restaurant or some food trucks and catering and stuff. So I came out here and entertained the ideas. And I got here around February.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Started working in Plano as a sous chef. I got a sous chef job at a Mexican bar company.
Okay.
Here for a couple months, I didn't really like it. So I was like, I'm just going to start my own business. So after that, I started doing meal preps and just private events, catering, stuff like that. And I launched that at the end of February. And I started doing meal preps for a couple NFL athletes, and I partnered up with a couple gyms, started doing that. And then my private business just started going off. I started doing like small weddings, caterings, and that's what I've been doing right now in Dallas.
Right. Right. How does that differ? I mean, with anytime you go from being an employee per se to being the employer, like really owning your own stuff, it's different. You have more control, you have more freedom with everything you do, but you're still applying those mechanisms that you have, especially when you're starting off, kind of like you're doing a little bit of everything. Uh, how's that experience been?
I mean, it's different. It's different, man.
Yeah.
You like when you work for somebody, it's a guaranteed check. You know what you're gonna make.
Yeah.
And when you're your own boss and you have your own like business per se, one week you might make $1,000, but the next week you might make 10. So it really varies from that. You gotta stay focused and know that in the long run, everything's gonna work out. And
Yeah.
it's food everybody eats.
I mean, that's a risk reward, man. That's really what it comes down to, because if you're able to grow something like that into something substantial, then you're never gonna look back. You know, you I was watching, Shark Tank,
Yeah.
the bald one, Kevin O'Leary or something like that, Mr. Wonderful goes by.
Oh, God.
I was watching one of his videos, and like he was talking about how he made his first million or whatever. He had his first job, and he was working at this like ice cream shop or whatever. The girl he had a crush on was working across the mall, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason he started working there, because he's like, oh, she's right there. We're gonna meet up for coffee after. And then as soon as he finished his shift, it was like 7 p.m. at night on like a Sunday or something like that. Finished his shift. He was about to walk out, and then the manager there was like, yo, you got to scrub the gum off the floor or whatever. And he's like, I'm here to do this. I'm here to scoop ice cream, not to scrub the gum off the floor. And then she was like, nah, you work here. You're gonna do like what I say. I'm the manager. So he just walked out. And he's like, after that day, I knew I never was gonna work for anybody ever again. But that's kind of there's that, and then you look at that and you're like, yo, like like let me just employ that same attitude, that same mentality. But it's like what you said, if it was all roses, everybody would do it. And there really can be benefits if you're employing it the right way, but there are risks that come with it. And also, like you said, you don't really know a lot of the time. So the security you have working for somebody, you don't necessarily have until you really reach a position, and it's just a lot of hard work till you get there.
It takes time. I mean, you could be working for somebody for 20 years, and for the first 10 years, you might be at the lowest level, and the next 10, you might be the boss. But it took you 10 years of your life making minimum wage, while if you're your own boss, 20 years working for yourself. The first 10, you might be struggling. The first 5, you might be struggling.
No, yeah, that's the thing.
You could be the next millionaire. Like nobody knows.
And I think it really comes down to as well, what you like to do. Some people like working for people, and you like working for people. It's like you approach every day. You like doing that. So as if you're enjoying life and you're enjoying waking up every morning and doing what you're doing, then that's amazing. Like keep doing that. But so many people are going to the job they don't want to go to. They're looking forward to every Friday, Saturday, Sunday because they hate what they're doing. So you think about employing that mentality, kind of changing it up a little bit. Being your own boss, like you said, and then really it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 1 year, but hard work, like the Malcolm Gladwell rule and the outside is like 10,000 hours. So you put a lot of work into something, you're gonna reap the benefits of it. It's just a matter of you liking what you're doing, and if you like that process of consistently, trying to get better at what you're doing, and you like what you're doing, in your case, you love cooking, so you love
Yeah.
chefing it up, and you know that if you employ the right business strategies and everything that goes with that, and that's a learning experience as well. But you're gonna be able to be successful. But even those running those risks, you're enjoying doing what you're doing, so it keeps you going. If you're trying to run a business and you're trying to be your own entrepreneur and you don't like doing what you're doing, you're not gonna last because it is hard. It is hard,
So
and you don't understand. You don't love what you're doing, so you're not going to keep doing it. You went to New York because if you want to be a cook, you want to be in New York. But as far as being in like Texas, what disadvantages are there? Or is there like maybe like a faster like route to the top? I don't know.
I mean, just being in Texas, the restaurant world here, it doesn't hold a nickel next to New York. You know, there's
What
no
does that mean
Michelin.
though? What if I'm an executive chef in Dallas?
I mean, you can be an executive chef anywhere, but what I'm saying is Dallas is pretty much. I mean, it sounds bad to say, but let's say Dallas is the D League and New York's the big leagues. That's how it is. I mean,
And LA and New York would be kind of on the same level.
that's the big leagues. That's the big leagues where you want to go. That's where the Michelin star restaurants are. You know, Chicago too. Has a really good culinary world.
So
Out
really
here,
just like the melting pots across the country, like the
so yeah. I mean, there's great chefs here in Dallas too. I've been to a couple great restaurants. You know,
there's some in
but
Vegas too, right?
Yeah, Vegas too. But you know, it's just a matter of the people too. You know, in Texas, there's people with money, but there's not that many restaurants where people are going to go and spend $1,000 on a night out. In New York, it's a common thing to go out to the
That
city.
easy.
You're going to be spending on Uber, bro, at least $200,
Right.
and then if you go out for drinks at a restaurant, bro, and you're eating there with a group of 10, you're going to be dropping a big bill.
Right.
And that's not really a custom thing to do. It's more of a family style, like stay here. We like barbecue. We like burgers. You know, it's just a different type of atmosphere. I would say.
Yeah, higher like fine dining really, but like it just is what it's just the melting pot it is. Like if you're in New York and you want Italian food, you're gonna eat the best Italian food. If you want Mexican food, you'll eat some of the best Mexican food. Like, wherever it is. I was in Queens a lot and there was a Mexican restaurant there. It was called Casa Enrique.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been there. You been
It
there?
has, I think it has a Michelin star.
It does.
Pretty-
It does. It does. They consider it the best Mexican restaurant in New York, New York City. It's so good, man. But like, really, anywhere you go, it's like any type of food you want, you're gonna find it because there's such a diverse immigrant population. So it's
Cultures.
like if you go
Yeah.
up to northern Queens, Astoria area, the Greek food is ridiculous. It's crazy. And same with like the kind of a lot of Brazilian food over there too. So it's
Same. If you go to Hopkey, have you been to Hopkey in Chinatown?
nah.
One of the
Chinatown
best.
isn't a place I've been to much.
One of the best Chinese places I've ever been to in my life, no doubt. About it. Yeah, hands down. But I mean, it's just like I'm saying, everything has its place. Like if you're a Wall Street guy and you're living, I don't know, in Wyoming, bro. I mean, Wall Street in Wyoming, Wall Street in New York. It's it doesn't.
No, I feel that. I feel that. We talk about that diverse kind of, take what it from like you want. The Italian food in New York is really good. You got a large Italian population too, and then like descendants of Italians, obviously, like Italian Americans and all that. But in Texas, you have like a Tex-Mex. Now, this is something I've always thought, and I'm not like a crazy like foodie or anything, like food expert. I love food, so I eat and appreciate whatever. But being in Texas, and you're Mexican,
Yeah.
so you're gonna understand this more than other people. But you go to New York. I was going to school in New York, and a lot of my friends like they just don't appreciate Mexican food in the same way that I do, and I have friends from California that they do as well. But how does that compare? How is it different? Obviously, in Texas, you got like a Tex-Mex, which is different than straight just pure Mexican food. But like, give me a little comparison on that.
I mean, I would say the Tex-Mex, like the Mexican food in Texas, most of it, probably 80% of it is pretty much Texas food. It's not real Mexican food.
Yeah. People don't realize that.
Yeah, the flavors are very different. The spices they use. I mean, Mexicans like the food spicy most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to Taco Cabana or like Fuzzy's Tacos, oh, bro, that's Mexican food. No, bro, that's
yeah. Well, that's also like a little bit of ignorance there too.
It's like there's really not that many, authentic Mexican spots here. There's a really good bunch of places, but there's not in the neighborhoods you would want to see them. If you go to
And
Highland
that,
Village or if you
like,
go to Flower, you're
okay,
not find
yeah,
something
but like
very.
Fort Worth has some, right?
Yeah, you can go to Fort Worth, you can go to Oak Cliff, you can go to Garland, and I feel like that's the lower income places. That's where the Mexicans live here, and I mean that's where the food is. I would assume.
No, man, it's correlation. That's how it is. That's how it is everywhere. Like the Greek food in New York, it's not all. It's in Queens. It's not in Manhattan. Same way, a lot of these
Yeah.
good restaurants and stuff like that. You gave a little background on football. Now I want to bring up football because this being a sports show and everything, and diving beyond the lines, but going back within the lines. You tried to play college football. What happened? I don't even remember that really. I remember that like you graduated and everything, and obviously then soon after you went to culinary school, but it all happened so fast.
Yeah, so I mean, when I graduated high school, I just went to Navarro to try
That's
and
right. That's right. That's right. That's it.
program. And I went to the tryouts, and the coach talked to me after. He's like, "Hey, we like how you play or whatever, but we can't offer you a scholarship." He's like, "You can be a preferred walk on, and I mean, if you show out, you show out." And I really thought about it, and I was like, am I gonna be in the NFL? I thought about it. I was like,
That's a thought process everybody needs to have.
it's a long shot, bro. So I was like, I was okay with giving up the dream, and I wasn't gonna go. I mean, Navarro's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I wasn't waste my prime years living in the middle of nowhere, hoping to get a scholarship.
Right. No,
I put the dream to bed.
yeah. Now I'm glad you bring that up though, because that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Now I like for me, because it was my junior year when I tore my whole knee up. So I was gonna miss most of my senior year. So I had that reality check right then. Now I could have had it later and had it like you, but I was able to kind of like get my head straight and everything like that. But it's like hard at first because you see yourself, all you know is being a football player, like really. And like when you're in school, when you're in high school, all you care about is football. You don't care about anything else. So you're going through your classes, you got your boys in your classes. So one, you're not paying attention because of that. Two, you're not paying attention because you just don't want to pay attention. Like it just doesn't matter. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you got to realize like how many of us are going to the league.
Yeah.
And I think we grow up in kind of this bubble and people don't understand it. So like when I went to New York, my freshman year was a huge adjustment for me because I came from this background and part of the reason I wanted to leave New York is kind of like what you said. Like I just wanted to kind of be in a bigger pond. And if I was going to go to college and like move on from football, I wanted a complete change. You know what I mean? But then what came with that was just seeing all this big group of people and talking to all these different people that I'm meeting that are like all my age and coming to school, and they're from New York and some of them are from California, whatever, wherever they may be from. But they grew up completely different. Like they didn't have that where we are. It's like, they always would ask me like, yo, is it like Friday Night Lights in Texas? I'm like, it's like that, but like we didn't live in the middle of nowhere. But there's just comparisons, you know what I mean?
Some people, at a football game. That's Texas.
When we would watch Friday Night Lights and we'd kind of see what was going on with the people around us, a lot of these people who are putting all their eggs in this football basket, like what happens when you don't make it to the league, which you're probably not going to make it to the league because I think it's 1% of college football players make the league. It's something ridiculous like that. So like what's the percentage of high school football players making the league? It's like 0.0001%. It's like trying to be a billionaire. So when you don't make it, then you just kind of fall back into this thing, and then you never really leave where you're from, and then you got kids there, and how many times we see it. And that's where it reminded me of the Friday Night Lights, the movie. The kids now, like the parents are living through their kids. Now it's like, all right, it's our kids' mission to make it to the league. And it's just this toxic environment, in my opinion, where like I didn't really want to be in that. I wanted to kind of, spread my wings a little bit and be able to like grow outside of that. And what you did, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I've been back ever since I came back from like Europe. You could see, the people that in high school, football was just everything to them. And once they had that taken away from them, since they graduated and didn't get to go to the higher level, it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do? And they don't have football, so they don't know what they're going to do, and they just go work a dead end job, and they're just living remembering the old days. But you just gotta pick yourself up and see what you want to do with your life and go pursue it. I mean, if football didn't work out for you, football didn't work out for you, but that means there's something else in your plan that you're going to fall into, that you're going to love, and that you're going to be okay with doing for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. That's a process of figuring that out. And I think as long as you're moving, like you have a chance of finding that out rather than just staying, like you said, working a dead end job and everything like that. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Jelani Jenkins, former NFL player, and I know you know about that. But one thing that we talked about was that whole thing, the progression from being an athlete. Now, obviously, he made the league, but it's a mistake to think that even players who are leaving the league don't have this same journey. Michael Bennett just retired yesterday, defensive end, right? Played for the Cowboys last year, actually. And he said it seems like he died yesterday, but he's like, it's a rebirth now for him to figure out like what his journey is outside of that. But like everybody really kind of has to experience that. But also being an athlete, when you go through this progression, you're letting go of like, say, your football identity, which might be your whole identity, but maybe not. But at the same time, it does give you, it equips you with a lot of skills that you can take on to other things. So for me, it was like, man, I always worked hard as hell. And you notice, like I always, put in the most work, you know what I mean? And ever since I started playing when I was 10, that's 5th grade. So 10, all the way through high school and the weight room, doing everything I could do. So then when I was like, all right, I can apply the same kind of work ethic outside and whatever it may be. So, with school, with internships that I had. So like, I remember when I was interning with CBS Sports, I was like, yo, this seems surreal. Let me just put in the same work that I've been putting in that I was able to do before. And that's why I was able to get these things. But how has that helped you out?
I mean, sports have been a really big part of my life ever since I was a little kid. I played soccer, baseball, basketball, boxing, football, of course. You played in high school.
Yeah.
Like when you hit that kind of like probably the middle school age, when you start playing sports, that's when it really starts, building your character and molding you as a person. Especially when you're in high school. I mean, you get really close with your coaches. You see them more than your family, most likely, because you spend time in the weight room, watching film, practicing.
Team dinners.
You develop a real close relationship with your coaches. And, I had a couple crazy coaches that all they used to do was yell, or they used to say, you're doing this wrong. They never tell you, hey, like, that's good, keep it up. And I mean, in the kitchen world, it's kind of the same thing.
That's cool.
Most of the chefs it's a culture that's trying to change, because I mean, it's kind of a drag to be in a kitchen working, and there's just constant yelling, and it's just a hot environment. But coming from like the football experience, I'm used to like coaches yelling or saying, hey bro, this is shit. Like, but at the end of the day, when you get older, you look back on it and you're like, all right, that coach was just building me up. He gave me a tool to have thick skin and to pretty much take shit from people. Cause I mean, when you're in a job in the real world, if you're not doing your job right, your boss is going to tell you, hey, you're doing an ass job. Right. He's not going to come and say, hey, pat you on the back, like, let me show you how to do this, or it's not like that. It's a sink or swim, And I feel like sports shaped me into that, where I could be able to adjust in a quick environment. Football, every play changes, and it's a puzzle. You have to know where everything's going, where to adjust, what to do, where to go. And it's the same in the kitchen. Sometimes you're down a cook, you're down a player, so you have to adjust, and you have to take care of his job. And if it was football, you have to find somebody else to either take his spot, or you have to fill in the gap. But I feel like sports, it's a big thing for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt, especially that camaraderie aspect, that team aspect that you said. It translates directly to anything you're doing, anywhere you're gonna go work. Especially, like that, relying on your teammates, knowing you got a teammate down, somebody's got to pick up the slack, and you understand how all that works. That's why you see a lot of former athletes having success in different fields. But something particular that stuck out to me was like, you have the coaches who really yell at you, and it sucks at the time, but like you look back at it, it's still kind of, I still got coaches, bro. I look back and I'm like, all right, like fuck him. I don't, it was unnecessary, but
yeah,
at the same time, like if I was going to the league, I would have gone to the league, and I wouldn't have cared about him anyway. But the fact that like I can use that, like because one, you build thicker skin. That's one thing you get from that. So when you're in the real world and like, yeah, somebody chews you out because it's in the heat of the moment, nothing's personal. They're worried about the product. So, and it was the same way it was back then. So there's that. It doesn't mean they're good coaches, because I think you can be coachable without doing that kind of stuff and kind of, leading people in the right direction. I think that's what separates great coaches from good coaches. But you learn and you grow from all these different kinds of scenarios. And I feel like we all did, man. And it's just about us channeling it in the right way and getting people to see that they can do that as well. A lot of the people that you said that like had football completely, it was football, even basketball. Like I got boys that are straight, basketball was the only thing on their mind, and the same thing happened.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like you said, when you look at it in the long run, I'd rather me experience that when I was 16 than experience it when I was 25. As an example, like you're in the locker room with a bunch of players and coaches, and a coach points you out in front of everybody. He's like, hey, like you're probably the worst player ever. Like you're not doing a good job. You're not doing this.
And that happens every week.
You're not going to play for me. You're going to be riding the bench. And he pretty much humiliates you in front of the whole squad.
Yeah.
But I'd rather it happen then than when I'm 25 and I'm working with grown-ups and just I wouldn't know how to handle getting embarrassed like that in front of my peers. But football, that has to happen to at least every player. Yeah. Getting embarrassed in front of his teammates or some lines. And it's just like, all right, he did me a favor. I wouldn't know how to react if I was 25 and my boss was like, hey, you're the worst person in here. And I would.
I've seen it, bro. Like people who haven't experienced that kind of stuff growing up, and you'd be surprised too, because like I said, it was one of the adjustments me going to New York and just seeing how like I grew up different than these kids, based on just like the kind of bubble we were in and everything like that. Football being this important and all this, but we were exposed to that kind of stuff, whereas like they weren't. So you just see the sensitivity that comes with that kind of stuff. Now my cousin is like my cousin. I've family that live in Manhattan, and they grow up. They're very well off, put it lightly, and it's just different. You just look at somebody, it's just different. Now I don't know if you follow you follow Gary Vaynerchuk. You know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
I think
he's one of those like media moguls. Like you see him all over social media. He's a multimillionaire or whatever. He started from scratch. He was a Russian immigrant, just garage sales and trading baseball cards, and he can sell like water to a well pretty much, and he's very successful. But he just talks about that. Like it's just a different mentality. When you grow up more disadvantaged than others, it's almost like you have an advantage because you're built different. Like whereas these kids aren't, and they're comfortable.
You can take it.
Thing, not necessarily like you can still be comfortable, but just the environment that you're growing up with, coaches yelling. I think it's like a similar environment. Not to mention the fact that in the divisive times that we're in today, with like obviously race and everything, sports, man, the locker rooms and everything it's something where like we don't feel that. You know what I mean? It's more of a connection overall.
It's your brothers. You don't really see somebody like in the outside world. Maybe there's problems in the outside, and you hop in that locker room or you hop in that huddle and you don't see somebody for black or white or Hispanic.
It doesn't matter. You go
and you're gonna ride for them regardless.
You're hanging out on the way. It's different, but I think that clouds us as well, being former athletes and being in that kind of environment where we see that. That's how we see it. But outside of stuff like that, there's real problems going on, and we don't necessarily see it until we kind of step out of these zones and everything. Is there anything else you want to talk about chefing wise, or you kind of covered everything there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of covered it, bro. It's a hard business. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. The hours are long.
Give me the details on your business right now.
Right now I'm in Dallas, and pretty much, I mean, I have my Instagram page, Chef Georgie _2. You can see pretty much what I cook up there. And people just DM me on there, and they're like, all right, we have a party of 5 or a party of 20. And I sit down with them and I create a menu for them based on ingredients. So let's say they want meat and 2 sides, and then they want a dessert and they want something else. So I'm like, all right, I make them a plate that's meat based, and then sides to go with that pairing, and then the dessert to go with that. So it's just a whole experience that I pretty much sell. And they contact me there, and then I set it up. And most of the time, I go cook at their house. So I get there, I prep, and then I cook for them, plate it up, and then clean it up. And then I leave, and it's like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, Blue Apron ain't doing that, right?
Yep.
What's some competitors? You got Blue Apron. What's some other ones?
Blue Apron, and then I think it's Iron Fitness, something like that.
Okay.
That's the meal prep. Yeah, I mean my meal prep is just it's a local thing. I don't ship.
No, for sure.
Keep it small. I have a small clientele base. I have a couple NFL guys. One of them plays for Broncos. His name's Trinity Benson.
Okay.
He used to work out with me. I've done private events for him. He's got me in contact with some other people. But, I'm not really focused on making the meal prep business like worldwide. That's not something I want to do. I'm more focused on actually cooking. Before COVID happened, I was going to open up a restaurant. So next year I was going to be moving to Colombia.
Yeah. That's wild. I remember you told me that.
I was going to open a restaurant with a buddy out there, but due to COVID, I mean, it's probably not the best move right now, and the border's closed. So we just talked about it, and we're probably going to take a year or two off. So right now I'm just sticking it around here. And I mean, it's hard times for everybody.
Hard times for everybody, but you've been able to figure out your road till now, so you're going to be able to do it going forward, man.
Sticking throughout it, man. Yep. Gotta keep grinding.
Yo, so off that into the sports world a little bit. Now, we talked about our backgrounds and stuff like that, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about NFL season coming up. We're both big Cowboy fans. I think every year I think we're a good team, but Jason Garrett kind of held us back a little bit for a long time, and I think that's objective. Everybody saw that. Now you got a new coaching staff in, CeeDee Lamb coming in. That receiving court might be the best in the league. I think it's the best in the league. Dak, contract issues. There's a lot of stuff going on. Well, give me your outlook right now.
I mean, he hasn't signed. Obviously,
he's on a franchise tag, so he'll play this year.
Yeah, but he hasn't extended, and that just
right.
I don't know. It's kind of iffy, man. I mean, what they offer him, like 100 something?
They offered him $35 million a year over 4.
Yeah,
over 5 years, and he said, "Nah, I'll take 35 over 4 years, or if you want to give me 5 years, I'm on $45 million in the last year." And then they never agreed on that.
Personally, I mean, he's a great athlete, but I wouldn't dump that bag on him yet. Not yet.
Nobody would. Nobody would.
I would take Andy Dalton right now. I would be okay with Andy Dalton leading the Cowboys, bro. I mean, it's a different opinion, but he's been in playoff games, bro. He's been deep in the playoffs, and I just think that's what the Cowboys need. Somebody that's just going to take the reins. Obviously, Dak's not going to go anywhere. They're going to probably give him his money, but that's just how I feel, man.
Well, after Mahomes signed his gazillion-dollar deal, that's setting the bar up a little bit higher. So the Cowboys wanted to get it done. They should have gotten it done before that.
Yeah, but you can't compare yourself to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's been in the league.
But he shouldn't have been asking for what he was asking for anyway. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not surprised if he's like, okay.
Yeah, I totally understand. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he just won a Super Bowl. What did Dak do? What's Dak's last accomplishments?
Right. He threw for almost 5,000 yards last year, but they went 8-8, so like it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, wins are going to get you money, and he didn't get enough of them. He didn't get a Super.
No, I completely agree, and I've always said that I blame the overwhelming success or lack of success on the team on the quarterback and the head coach. So I did think Jason Garrett was a huge problem.
Oh no, sure.
And he's gone. So Mike McCarthy teamed up with Dak. We'll see if that changes anything. I think it could. And if anything, if Dak has a really good season this year and the Cowboys have a good season overall, he's just going to make more money. So
yeah. I mean, this is his season where he's either going to have to put up or shut up.
That's it.
You can't ask for $100 million and go with 8 wins or 7 wins or 6 wins in a season. You know, why would I pay you a crazy amount of money if you can't win more than 10 games?
Right. And we're gonna have to see if he's able to do that. Obviously, the season's gonna be a little crazy. We'll see how all that kind of stuff plays out with coronavirus and stuff. But aside from the Cowboys, give me your favorite right now.
Oh, favorite.
Super Bowl favorites. Early. What is it? July 2021 Super Bowl favorites. 2020 season.
Shoot, man. I really like the Patriots with Cam Newton. I feel like
I like
that's
the Patriots with Cam Newton too. But I still
like,
think they're a sleeper team. A lot of people don't really love
I mean, Tom Brady's gone. That was pretty much deleted.
Yeah, but you're not downgrading going to Cam. I think you're upgrading going to Cam, in my opinion.
I don't think you're upgrading or down.
At this point in Tom Brady's career.
Yeah, but Tom Brady is still Tom Brady at the end of the day. He's still.
Right, Joe Montana can go out there on the field and play.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Cam Newton's gonna contribute to that team in a big way.
Okay.
What other teams? I mean, Tampa just got Tom Brady and Gronk. They have Mike Evans.
You're right.
I feel like they could be a contender. The Dallas Cowboys, I mean, obviously, I'm always going to put them up on the board.
Right.
They have a team. I feel like Zeke should have a breakout season this year. He hasn't been sleeping, but, there's been a lot of talk around the world. People tweeting Zeke's big, Zeke's this, Zeke's that. He hasn't been, he's downgrading. But I feel like he's going to get that motivation, and him and Dak are going to team up to show what this team can actually do, especially with all the new people that they're bringing in.
Right.
Coaching moves, receiver moves. Hopefully they make a big change.
So the NFC, I think, is obviously Dallas. I think they're gonna be good. There's just too much talent not to be good. And
yeah,
it's hard not to improve on 8-8 season last year when you have that much talent. I do think Zeke's gonna he's gonna feed off everything that's going on. Like, no pun intended, feed Zeke or whatever. I don't even mean it like that. But Cowboys are gonna be good in the NFC. The Saints are gonna be good. But the AFC, I just don't see anybody getting past the Chiefs or the Ravens. So it's kind of hard for me because the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, and I want them to get Antonio. I know he hinted at retirement the other day, Antonio Brown. But if the Ravens get Antonio Brown, man, that's gonna be interesting.
I feel the Ravens can go a long way. The 49ers, those are all top tier teams right now. What do you think about Dez?
I want Dez to play. I love Dez, man. Dez is one of my favorite players. I know he's one of your favorite players too, right?
I mean, that's one of my favorite players. But do you think he's going to get picked up?
It's a bad time for everybody, man. Especially somebody. You saw how long it took Cam to get picked up. He was playing last year.
Yeah.
So Dez hasn't played in 2 years, coming off an Achilles.
Yeah.
Coronavirus is within this time. I think he's been looking pretty good in some of the videos, but we all know that running routes against the air is different than running routes against Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
what Colin Kaepernick?
Look, man, I want to see Colin in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this since the jump. I'm one of Colin Kaepernick's biggest supporters as far as I believe he should be in the league. I've always thought he should be in the league, and I hated the whole thing that happened with him. But is he a starter at this point? I don't know. He hasn't played in a while. Like, if he had naturally just stopped playing, like, forget everything that came with it, then I don't know about Gronk because he hasn't played. You know what I mean? So Kaepernick, I don't know. I want to see him try out, like, put him in a preseason and see how he goes. Plays against like the backup, like who plays better, him or a backup on any team, and he plays better than him, then he should be on the team. But I think it needs to be seen. Yeah,
that's true. I think he deserves to be in the league. I think he has the talent and he has everything to do it. It's just, personally, I think a lot of people feel the same way, but he's been blackballed by the league.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Now what I'm saying is, like, even if you put that aside right now, it's been like 3-4 whole years that he's been blackballed. So now it's like you're not only talking about him being blackballed, but it's actually been a minute since he's played. So now we got to be realistic about it too. At that time, he played last year. He was playing good last year. Why is he not playing now? But now it's a few years out the league. It's unfortunate for him, but I love to see him getting these deals with like Disney and everything. So like everything's coming back around. Like the good guy always wins in the end, kind of thing. So I'm happy to see that. But before we wrap it up real quick, NBA about to get started. Give me a quick NBA pick. I need to hear that.
Mavs, man.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Yo, if there's a time that coronavirus and like this whole weird season come into play, because you don't know what's going to happen in these different circumstances, different atmosphere, the Mavs can play. I think in the future, that's a dynasty in the making, but they could play. They could do something this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm a big Luka fan. When I was
you have to be.
Yeah, when I was in Spain, he played out there, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's on the Mavs." Like I told him that's where I was from, and they're like, "Oh shit," they be talking about him, hyping him up all the time. Yeah. And I mean, you see his videos on like Instagram and stuff, and he just seems like a really cool guy, down to earth.
Yeah.
Hopefully they get it.
I see it, bro. I'm excited to see it. Hey, man, thanks for coming on, man. That was fun to talk about. A lot of insight on a lot of stuff you're doing. Best of luck with your business, bro.
Appreciate it.
The details out. Everybody needs to follow that. Chef Georgie _2. Is that what it is?
Chef Georgie _2 on Instagram.
Chef Georgie. So I'm gonna put that on the description and everything, so we can get that straight. But yo, thanks for coming again, man. I'm gonna talk to you soon for sure.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a like, subscribe to us, and leave a comment. Anything you liked, anything you want to see next time, a guest you want me to have on, and we're going to be able to make it work. Now, if you appreciated what George had to say too, follow him on Instagram, Chef Georgie _2. You might get lucky, get a recipe from him or something like that. I don't know. I'm not putting this on him, but look, I'm just saying. I hope you guys enjoyed the insight that George had to give. If you're thinking about going abroad, studying something different than the traditional, school coursework, that gave you some insight on how it could go and what steps maybe you could take if you want to go forward in that. So again, thank you guys for watching, and as always, tune in on Fridays at 1 p.m. See y'all next time.